We're following some major breaking news at this hour. Taking a live look from Sky 7 HD. We understand there are several gas explosions right now in the Lawrence area. This is a home here that you can see the smoke coming out of the roof of this building right here.
Yeah, we've been taking live pictures of Sky 7 HD. You can see we have a fire crew out there on the scene right now. Again, as Ryan was saying, it appears that there's been some sort of gas explosion. And in one shot, we can also see 4 separate fires, Ryan, coming from different areas in Lawrence. We want to get out to Steve Cooper. He's live with more information right now. Steve, what are you hearing?
Well, we're hearing that these are gas explosions in Lawrence, actually South Lawrence, specifically Chickering Street, and also North Andover and Andover, also all in that general area in the Merrimack Valley, right off of Mass Ave and 495 there. All this just unfolding within the past few minutes. We're being told by our sources that one house has literally been leveled by what appears to be a gas explosion. We've heard that there apparently may be some injuries, serious injuries involved here. Multiple ambulances have been rushing to these various scenes. Fire departments from the surrounding area arriving and trying to deal with putting the flames out, but at the same time trying to account for residents in the area, and also at the same time asking people, obviously, to stay away from that area. But we're told that there have been multiple explosions in that area. Appears to be some sort of a gas explosion. And again, the communities right now, we're talking about Lawrence, specifically South Lawrence, right at the area where it intersects with North Andover and Andover as well. So we obviously have multiple departments responding and working the scenes right now. And that's what it is. It's several scenes, as a matter of fact.
And Cooper, looking over the scene here, this one home here, I'm not sure if this is in Lawrence, but you can see from Sky 7 HD that fires are still burning right now. What kind of response are we talking about to try to cover all of these different areas?
Right, it's a massive response already. Again, aside from Andover, North Andover, and Lawrence, you'd have several surrounding communities. They have this mutual aid response when it's something this large. And again, keep in mind, Ryan, that in a case like this, especially at this hour of the day, coming up on the 5 o'clock hour, you'd obviously have a lot of residents either coming home from work, people coming home from school. This is a residential area, so as in any case like this, you're talking about a situation where they're trying to account for people and deal with injuries at this point, while trying to get a hold of what's actually happening in terms of fighting the fire itself.
Steve, we're looking at smoke pouring from these buildings here on our screen right now. You have to imagine there may have been people inside some of these homes. Are you hearing anything about any entrapments right now?
Yeah, and again, I've been talking to several sources in that area just within the past couple of minutes, and to be honest with you, these are people that normally would be able to take a second or two and talk to me and pass along some information. And as I'm talking to them, the police scanners are screaming in the background, and I think they're desperately trying to, as I said, in a case like this, account for everybody. As you can imagine, it's a pretty chaotic scene right there. I mentioned, according to our sources, there have been at least one serious injury that I've been told about that they're looking into right now. But again, it's a little early. We don't want to start panicking people. But the investigators are obviously, and as people start to see this, they're asking people to stay away. They're trying to get ambulances to the scene and deal with the injured. And again, if you're talking about a gas explosion, as you know, or multiple gas explosions, that sort of takes it to a different level, because you have to deal with shutting the gas off and figure out where the source is, or do you let it burn out? So, that's obviously now you brought in a whole nother layer fighting these sorts of fires.
And obviously terrifying pictures on the left here, live pictures from Sky 7 HD of this home here on, we believe, Springfield Street here in Lawrence. You can see this triple-decker here really on fire. And Coop, we want to go back and set the scene again. Explain the 3 communities that are affected by these explosions.
Right. Okay. So I can tell you that Lawrence is affected, and I had a chance to speak with the police chief just briefly, and he told me specifically South Lawrence. And I also know that North Andover and Andover are also affected. Again, they're still trying to assess the situation. To be honest with you, they're not even completely clear what's going on or how all this started. So in a case like this, we just want to be careful about the types of information that we give out. We want to make sure we give out the right information. But again, all this just happened a short time ago. You have multiple agencies on the scene, and we also have firefighters from, not just those three communities of Andover, North Andover, and Lawrence, but you have firefighters now coming into the scene on a mutual aid call, which would come from places like Methuen and Haverhill and the surrounding communities outside the Merrimack Valley.
And clearly a massive response to this scene right now. Steve, you mentioned we are approaching a rush hour. Any word on any road closures?
Well, again, it's interesting because I asked the same question to emergency responders that I was talking to, and they just said, they clearly are trying to figure out exactly where the source of this is and how it all happened. I don't want to, give a, real specific information, but we're told there are many. I was told that there may be as many as 20 different locations that they're responding to right now. Exactly what are at those locations? Did this all happen at once? Was it sort of triggered and went down the line like a domino? Obviously, as you can see, they're all in the general same area of that South Lawrence area, which is right on the North Andover and Andover border. So obviously, they're just asking people to try to stay away.
If we can, I'd like to go over to our colleague Dan Housley. He's been gathering notes and information and talking about the gas pressure situation, Dan, that the city councilor just referenced. It appears, and it's reassuring, if that's even a word that's appropriate to use right now, that perhaps this is being narrowed down to a cause. That'll certainly help find a solution, no?
Well, I think that while they don't need to get the cause right now because they've got to handle these fires, the cause will help them prevent continuing situation. And you heard talk about shutting down the utilities to certain areas. You also heard an intimation with who you just talked to there about certain pipelines not being able to handle a situation. There have been a past situation where a high pressure line could have been crossed with a low pressure line, and in that situation, you are going to have various, if it's introduced over a large area, over that area where there are weaknesses in the system is where you would see breaches and possibly randomly various houses having the situation. That might explain why you're seeing various houses. Usually when we see this, and we kept going back to when we see gas house explosions, it usually gets traced to sometimes there's construction going on in the very house or in the area, and something is wrong with the gas line in that house leading to the explosion. In this case, because it is so widespread, it seems more likely that the problem may have been something introduced into the system, possibly somehow maybe a higher pressure gas introduced into the system, and various places along the way that showed weakness have allowed the gas to get through. This also might explain the warning from the officials. If you're in a house where you smell gas, well, possibly your system has not been containing and holding the gas, and then the only difference between whether you've got a little gas in your house or you have a fire is whether they have that ignition source. And again, this is why the strong warnings against introducing any kind of ignition source, the turning on of a light, even a phone, not even using that. So they're worried about gas that is getting into multiple houses here, multiple businesses or residences, and it would seem it's possible the only way that could have been introduced is if it's over a wide area.
I'm being told we have Steve Cooper live near the scene of one of these fires or explosions. So, Steve, tell us where you are and what you're seeing and hearing. Please, you're on the air.
Right, Adam. This is Chickering Road right here in Lawrence, and I'm going to step out of the way, and you can see the police obviously have the road shut down, and just beyond, we're 2 houses down from where this house that you've been showing from Sky 7 HD exploded here, and it's basically collapsed down right here, and we're told that 2 people have been taken to the hospital here in connection with this particular explosion here. We know that according to the police chief, there was entrapment, meaning one person was stuck in a car when the chimney collapsed here, and a second person was inside the house. Again, both transported to Lawrence General Hospital. We don't know the extent of their injuries at this point, but again, right now, it's really just quite a scene here from the ground, because what you have is we've seen state police running from house to house here, banging on doors, desperately asking people to leave their homes and get out of their homes. There are people standing out here in the middle of the road road, just simply they don't know what to do. They know to stand outside their homes. They believe that's the safest place to be right now. But literally every emergency responder here right now, if they're not fighting the fires, they're trying to account for residents in the area and just basically keep people away. You can hear the wailing sounds of sirens here going from one street to the next street. They continue to get calls. We were told that in Lawrence alone, at least 20 to 25 homes have caught fire or have been involved in the gas explosions. We're told the same number in North Andover as well, as many as 20 to 25 there. And it's probably worth noting, and I can tell you that I did talk to FBI sources a short time ago. They are sending resources here to the Merrimack Valley, to Lawrence and Andover and Methuen right now. We should say Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover right now. And I apologize because as I'm talking to you, I'm watching several emergency responders leave this area and respond to other locations as well. But just getting back to the FBI, we should mention that they are sending resources to the area, but they believe these are gas explosions and they don't appear to be terrorism related. But the FBI is sending personnel to the scene here. And again, right now, police are just asking anyone that's in their house, if they smell gas, to get out of their houses. They just simply don't want to have any more injuries here. And again, all this is happening not only just at the height of the evening commute, but keep in mind, school just getting underway here in the Merrimack Valley over the past couple of weeks. And a lot of kids are now home from school, and they're just trying to assess and make sure that everybody in these neighborhoods are, in fact, accounted for right now.
Steve Cooper reporting live from the scene as we watch here live at just one of the many, many battles that firefighters have. Look at these incredible images up in that bucket trying to fight those fierce flames. And this is happening in numerous homes across Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover. The numbers keep changing. The Mass State Police had tweeted about a half an hour ago 17 separate addresses, but we just heard from Steve could be as many as 50 explosions and fires in homes in those areas you see. It's the southern and eastern part of Lawrence, and then the abutting part of North Andover, and then to the south Andover. It's just an incredible fight. Right now, everybody's just focused on stabilizing the situation. Public safety is the most important, and people are just urged, if you're in those areas and you smell gas, to leave. It wouldn't hurt just to evacuate the area and go to a safe place until people figure out what's going on, and we have not yet been able to confirm whether they've shut off the gas to that area. So does the threat still continue at this point?
Okay, so to the left, live images. We continue to watch this fire intensify. And Steve, you know, if we could only make tomorrow Hug a Firefighter Day, because they are putting a huge effort into this from many different departments.